2024 respectively. In this regard, honorable members, the approval of the mediated versions of the two bills by both houses of parliament now concludes their bicameral consideration in accordance with the provisions of Article 110(5) of the Constitution. I will now proceed to present the two bills to His Excellency the President for assent in accordance with the provisions of Article 113(3) of the Constitution. I thank you. The second message from the Senate is on the passage of the National Construction Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2022, and the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 45 of 2022. Honorable members, pursuant to the provisions of Standing Order 41-1, I wish to report to the House that I received two messages from the Senate regarding the passage of two National Assembly bills. The two messages convey that on Tuesday, 19 November 2024, the Senate considered and passed the National Construction Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2022, and the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 45 of 2022, both with amendments. Honorable members, you may recall that the National Assembly considered and passed the National Construction Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2022, and the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 45 of 2022 on 26 October 2023 and 20th March 2024, respectively. Thereafter, I refer the two bills to the Senate for consideration pursuant to Article 110(4) of the Constitution. The Senate has now referred the said bills back for reconsideration pursuant to Article 1121B of the Constitution. The House is therefore required to consider the Senate amendments to the two bills, and in this regard, I hereby direct the clerk to circulate the schedules of the Senate amendments to the two bills to all members as required by the standing orders. Further, the schedule of Senate amendments to the National Construction Authority Amendment Bill, National Assembly Bill number 59 of 2022, stand referred to the Departmental Committee on Housing, Urban Planning and Public Works for consideration. With regard to the schedule of Senate amendments to the Cancer Prevention and Control Amendment number 2 Bill, National Assembly Bill number 45 of 2022, they stand referred to the Departmental Committee on Health for consideration. Honorable members, I urge the two committees to prioritize their consideration and report to the House as soon as is practicable to enable the House to consider the Senate amendments to the respective bills. I thank you. Next.
Order number 4, petitions. Order number 5, papers.
Majority Leader. I see with the written Majority Whip. The Deputy Majority Whip. I thought this is normally...
Honorable Speaker, what was there was laid in the morning. We have nothing to lay.
You have nothing. What about all this? Report of the Auditor General and financial statements for some schools. You don't have those?
Honorable Speaker, yes, the clerk's office had duplicated what was laid in the morning, but there is one for the afternoon sitting.
Clerk, and the heading on this, on this paper is always the Majority Leader. Whether it's the whip or the Deputy Whip or the Deputy Majority Leader, they all act under the umbrella of the Majority Leader. Go ahead.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, November 26, 2024, afternoon sitting. Number 1, reports of the Auditor General and financial statement for the years ended 30th June 2021, 30th June 2022, and 30th June 2023, and the certificates therein in respect of Number 1, A, Saka Girls Secondary School, B, Kulamawe Secondary School, C, Kina Secondary School, D, Garbatura Girls Day School Secondary School, E, Garbatula Boys High School, F, Kitui High School, and G, Iku Boys High School. Number 2, the exit report of the National Hospital Insurance Fund Board. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I beg to lay.
Thank you, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Social Protection. Alice.
Thank you. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 26 November 2024. Report on the Departmental Committee on Social Protection on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and as a member of the National Gender and Equality Commission. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Health. Honorable Dr. Bukose.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 26 November 2024. Report of the Departmental Committee on Health on the harmonization of the proposed amendments to the Assisted Reproductive Technology Bill, National Assembly Bill number 61 of 2022. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Is this the Mele or the Ambo bill?
Yes.
Okay.
We did the
After winnowing.
Yes.
Excellent. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Labor. Karemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 26th November 2024. A report of the Departmental Committee on Labor on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and as members of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following papers on the table of the House today, Tuesday, the 26th of November 2024. Reports of the Departmental Committee on Finance and National Planning on its consideration of the following 3 bills. 1, the Public Finance Management Amendment Bill, Bill number 3, National Assembly Bill number 44 of 2024. The Public Finance Management Amendment Bill number 4 of 2024, and the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Amendment Bill, National Assembly number 48 of 2024. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security. Tongoyo.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 26 November 2024. Report of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security on the vetting of nominee for appointment as the chairperson and as members of the Board of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to lay the following paper on the table of the House today, Tuesday, 26th November 2024. Report of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and as members of the Commission on the Administration of Justice. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Speaker.
you. Next order.
Order number 6, notices of motion.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Social Protection. Alice.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion that taking into consideration the finding of Departmental Committee on Social Protection in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and as a member of the National Gender and Equality Commission laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 26 November 2024, the pursuant to Article 230 of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of 1. Honorable Rehema Dida Jaldesa as the chairperson of the Gender and Equality Commission, and 2. Michael Zomo Bithuka as a member of the National and Gender and Equality Commission. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Labor. Karemba.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Labour in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and as members of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 26th November 2024, and pursuant to Article 230 of the Constitution and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of 1. Mr. Sami Chepkwony as the chairperson of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission, and 2. The following nominees as members of the Salaries and Remuneration Commission to represent the specified institutions. 1. Major General Retired Martin Kizito Ngunyi, CBS, as nominee of the Defense Council. 2. Mr. Mohammed Ahmed Abdi as a nominee of the Senate on behalf of county governments. Number 3, Ms. Jane Gataka Njage as a nominee of the Teacher Service Commission. 4, Dr. Gida Odera as a nominee of the Federation of Kenya Employers, FKE. Number 5, Dr. Geoffrey Apollo Omondi as a nominee of the Central Organization of Trade Union, COTU. And number 6, Mr. Leonid Ashindu as a nominee of the Association of Professional Societies in East Africa, APSEA. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you, Karemba. Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security. Tongoyo.
Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the finding of the Departmental Committee on Administration and Internal Security in its report on the vetting of nominee of appointment as chairperson and as members of the Board of Independent Policing Oversight Authority, laid on the table of the House on Tuesday, 26th November 2024, and pursuant to Article 252B of the Constitution as read together with Section 11(5) of the Independent Policing Oversight Authority Act Cap 86 and Section 3 and 8 of the Public Appointment Parliamentary Approval Act Cap 7F, this House approved the appointment of 1. Mr. Hamed Isaac Hassan, CBS, as the chairperson of the Board of Independent Policing Oversight Authority. The following nominees as members of the Board of Independent Policing Oversight Authority: Ms. Anne Wanjigu Mwangi, Dr. Mika Onyego Nyakego, PhD, OGW, Mr. Boniface Kipkemoi Samati, Dr. Annette Mudola Mboga, Honorable John Mushiri Nyaga, HSC, Mr. Ken Williams Nyakomita, OGW, and Ms. Jacqueline Lukalo Mwenezi. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chairperson, Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to give notice of the following motion, that taking into consideration the findings of the Departmental Committee on Justice and Legal Affairs in its report on the vetting of nominees for appointment as chairperson and members of the Commission on Administrative Justice, laid on the table of the House today, 26th November 2024, and pursuant to Article 252B of the Constitution, as read together with the Sections 10 and 11 of the Commission on Administrative Justice Act, Cap 7J, and the Sections 3 and 8 of the Public Appointments Parliamentary Approval Act, Cap 7F, this House approves the appointment of the following to the Commission on the Administrative Justice. Number 1, Mr. Charles Orinda Ndulo, Chairperson. Number 2, Honorable Charles Njagwa Kanyi, Member. And number 3, Ms. Dorothy Jemato Kimengech, as Member. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Next order.
Order number 7, questions and statements.
A response to statement of Honorable Raila Kasiwai. Tongoyo, are you ready? Administration and Internal Security is a statement requested by a member for West Pokot. Is she requesting? Oh, sorry, she's requesting.
She's requesting, Honorable Speaker.
The next are the Kasiwai. Kasiwai. Statement dropped. Next, Gonzirai.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Honorable Speaker, pursuant to the provincial standing order 44(2)(c), I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation regarding the status on implementation of Makamini Dam project. Honorable Speaker, the Makamini Dam project is located west of Makamini Shopping Center in Kwale County and financed by the national government through the Coast Water Works Development Agency. The project aims to improve access to water and hygiene for over 40,000 residents from Makamini, Kinagoni, Matumbi, Mutaha, Mabesheni, Bofu, Kibandaongo, and Minyenzeni and Mwabila sublocation. It is also the second biggest project after Mwache Dam. Mwache Multipurpose Dam project, which is meant to harness the flood flows from Mwache River Basin for domestic water supply and irrigation in Kwale and Mombasa counties. Despite its strategic importance, the people has been faced with inordinate delays since the launch of its construction by the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation in 2021. Honorable Speaker, it is against the background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Blue Economy, Water and Irrigation on the following. A report on the status of the Makamini Dam projects, including progress report and any challenges encountered by the Ministry of Water, Sanitation and Irrigation. 2, the measures put in place to facilitate collaboration between the county government, the National Land Commission, and the County Land Office to jointly fast-track resolution of ownership of the targeted pieces of land and compensation of owners of the acquired land, and the steps taken by the Ministry to ensure timely completion of the construction of Makamini Dam Project Phase 1 and the expected date of completion. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Bowen, Chairman. When can you bring a response next week?
No, 2 weeks, Mr. Speaker.
2 weeks, you know we are breaking next week. Which 2 weeks?
Let me try, Mr. Speaker, if I can
bring a response by Thursday morning.
By Thursday, okay.
Yes.
Obliged, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you. Rashid Bedzimba.
Honorable Speaker, pursuant to Standing Order 44(2)(c), I rise to request for a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education on the criteria for recognition and equation of certificates and diplomas obtained from schools offering international curricula in the country. Honorable Speaker, there exist 2 curricula in the Kenya education system: the international curriculum and the CBC, which replaced the former 844 curriculum. International curricula are recognized by the world-based universities and employers, giving students a wide range of options in their education and career. However, students who complete their studies under the international curricula
often face challenges seeking admission to local universities or employment in the public sector due to the restrictive guidelines set by the Kenya National Examination Council. Honorable Speaker, one of the core functions of the Kenya National Examination Council is to carry out equation of certificates and diplomas issued by the credible examining boards. However, the guidelines published by Council on 31st May 2024 stipulate that by NEC are not equitable. Council on 31st May 2024 stipulate that institutional-based certificate or courses, whether local or international, similar to those offered by NEC are not equitable. Currently, over 11,000 students are enrolled in various institutions offering international curricula in the country. This policy effectively bars these students from admission to local university and from employment within the public sector solely due to the lack of an equivalent certification. Honorable Speaker, it is against this background that I seek a statement from the chairperson of the Departmental Committee on Education on the following. 1. The reason for the inordinate delay by NEC in formulating guidelines on equation of certificates or diplomas obtained from schools offering international curricula within the country. 2. Measures undertaken by the Ministry of Education to facilitate the equation of certificates and diplomas obtained from international schools in the country, thereby allowing these students access to local university admission and public sector employment opportunity. Lastly, action taken by the Ministry of Education to address the challenges faced by students of international curricula who are impacted by NEC's policies. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Chair Education. Malulu Njende, are you the Vice Chair of Education?
Mr. Speaker, we'll be on recess from next week. So we will organize for a meeting after the busy week next week. So we'll give a response maybe later when we resume next year.
No, you bring a response on Thursday afternoon next week.
Well guided, Speaker.
Thank you. Next order. Yes, Honorable Architect Mulyungi. Give Mulyungi the mic.
Mr. Speaker, thank you. Mr. Speaker, the Chair for Interior responded to my statement in April.
Responded?
Responded.
Yes.
And I was not satisfied. And I raised it in the floor of the House here. And you directed that he comes back with a substantive, responsive answer in 2 weeks. Mr. Speaker, I discussed with him.
And you have sat on your rights from April to November.
I've been discussing with him. I'm coming to that.
Yes.
I discussed with him, and he asked me to resubmit the statement again, asking for clarifications. Mr. Speaker, I went to the table office, and they told me that cannot work.
There is no provision under the standing orders.
Yes, they told me it can't work.
For resubmitting a statement.
Yes. So they asked me to raise it as a point of order in the floor of the House so that you can redirect again. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Tongoyo.
Mike, please. The Honourable Member did admit that we have been in talk. What Honourable Speaker, I kind of suggested and we agreed with him is that he able to submit it as a question addressed to the Minister, so that maybe he comes to the House and able to have an opportunity to interrogate the CS. And we agreed actually with him so.
Mulyungi, if you agreed, why are you raising it? There is a mic where you are sitting.
Mr. Speaker, it was a very urgent matter, And considering that questions take a long time to be answered, I thought seeking further clarifications from the minister would be faster from the chair. Okay. If you can so direct, Mr. Speaker.
What you do, engage with the chairman privately. If you feel dissatisfied, I'll give you an opportunity on Thursday this week to raise the issue on a point of order. Next order.
Order number 8, procedural motion, resolution to sit until conclusion of specified business.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I beg to move that pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business listed as order number 13, that's the Committee of the Whole House, in today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. Honorable Speaker, I'm moving this on behalf of the House Business Committee, which did resolve yesterday that the coffee bill that is listed as order number 13, yes, order number 13, Committee of the Whole House. Honorable Speaker, this coffee bill, as you mentioned, was on the floor almost the whole of last week, from Tuesday all the way to Thursday, and we are only able to go up to only clause number 11. And the chair of the committee was here last week to transact business, but we could not get the numbers to transact. Honorable Speaker, I want to agree with you. Those members who are from the coffee growing areas, and Honorable Speaker, you will give me the latitude tomorrow afternoon, yes, or tomorrow morning to name any member. You know, last week, but one Honorable Speaker, when I mentioned members who are not seated in the House, I saw a lot of good positive change, with members now being there when it is time to ask their questions, chairs of committees being there when there are questions and statements that relate to their committees. It is good that the chair of the Agriculture Committee, the Honorable Mutunga, has been seated in this House throughout this debate.
He's always here.
He's always here. But if you look for the vice chair of that committee, he is never here. If you count the number of members from the Agriculture Committee, there are a handful who are here. And Honorable Speaker, I'm saying this to serve notice to members of the Agriculture Committee. And I know the whips are here. They know what to do. Honorable Millie Odhiambo knows what to do as a whip of the minority. Honorable Soro knows what to do with members of the Agriculture Committee who are not there to transact business that relates to their own committee. Members of Parliament who come from coffee growing areas. Honorable Speaker, as you said, it is not enough to shout in funerals how much you are pushing for coffee farmers, yet when you should be pushing legislation that will benefit those coffee farmers, you are never there on the floor. But after this, you will hear members over the weekend saying, oh, we have legislated, we have passed a bill. You passed it and you are not there. You did not contribute even a word in the enactment of that legislation, Honorable Speaker. Allow me, Honorable Speaker, tomorrow, I am listing all constituencies that grow coffee, and even those with potential to grow coffee. The member for Ainabko, he told us yesterday that he was the first farmer to introduce coffee in Uasin Gishu. Therefore, when we talk about coffee growing areas, we want to see members from Uasin Gishu in those areas where they are growing coffee. The Honorable Sunkuli has been here because in Kilgoris, he knows they are now growing coffee. So it is not just members from Central Kenya or the Mount Kenya region where they have been traditionally been growing coffee. I have seen coffee, as you said, Honorable Speaker, in Endebes, in Trans Nzoia County. I'm glad that the Honorable Magufuli, Honorable Speaker,
Majority Leader, if you want to know, coffee is grown in Kiambu,
yes,
Murang'a, Kirinyaga, Embu, Nyeri, Machakos, Meru, Nyamira, Kisii, Kakamega, Bungoma, Machakos, Kericho, Nandi, Uasin Gishu, Trans Nzoia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Yes.
Now you have done what I intended to do tomorrow.
Yes.
Now, members from those particular counties, as named by the Speaker, if you are not here to legislate on this coffee bill, please waste no time going to shout in funerals and in weddings and crying more than the bereaved farmers on the coffee prices, on the cherry fund. The time to act is now. And Honorable Speaker, this business will go on until conclusion of that business, because the House Business Committee did direct yesterday that we cannot continue with this bill being on the order paper every other week. It has to come to an end today. And therefore, Honorable Speaker, allow me to move and request all those members, those from Kiambu County where I come from, all of them, including the member for Kikuyu, who has not a single coffee bush. But my neighbor, Honorable KJ, had about 100 coffee bushes around Mohori area. But nowadays, I see he has planted houses more than coffee. But it will be important that all of us are there, Honorable Speaker, so that we conclude this debate this evening. And I would like to ask the chair of the committee to continue the good work he was doing, and therefore beg to move. It's a procedural motion, nothing much to say, and request the deputy whip of the minority, the Honorable Mwenje, the member for Embakasi West, where there's not a single coffee bush, but he was here last week. Honorable Speaker, it was so embarrassing on Thursday when we closed business. Besides the chair of the Agriculture Committee, and I think Honorable Pukose, is only the leadership that were here, about 8 people. On Thursday, the member for Githunguri was also not here. And she's among the people who are very good in shouting at funerals about coffee. She was not here on Thursday. So make sure the member for Githunguri, this afternoon you are here, this evening up to midnight. Thank you, Honorable Speaker, and I request Honorable Mwenje to second.
It cannot go unanswered.
I thought it wasn't done. Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I just want to mention that although I represent a constituency where coffee is not grown, I'm also a coffee farmer in Kandara and Moranga. So my in-laws here who are busy mentioning it. And Honorable Speaker, it's important to mention that the biggest consumers of coffee is us in Nairobi. In fact, the KPCU plant is located just outside my constituency. Before it used to be in Embakasi, the larger constituency. So it's literally at the doorstep of actually my home in Molem. It's in, people call it Dandora, but it's actually Molem. So Honorable Speaker, I will be here and I second the motion. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Order, Honorable Bissau, take your seat. Honorable members, I now propose the question, which is that pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business listed as Order Number 13, Committee of the Whole House, in today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. I'll now put the question, which is that pursuant to Standing Order 33A, this House orders that should the time appointed for adjournment of the House be reached before conclusion of business listed as Order Number 13, Committee of the Whole House, in today's order paper, the sitting shall stand extended until conclusion of the said business. As members of that opinion say aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. It means you will sit on this particular bill until you finish or until midnight, whichever comes early. So be ready for it. And if you want to know the importance of this legislation, go back to the law books of the 50s, when Mbiu Koinange was prosecuted by colonialists for attempting to grow coffee because it was an exclusive crop for colonial oppressors and settlers. So we are opening up for your people to grow coffee. And if you also want to know, a country called Vietnam imported Ruiri 11 coffee from Kenya 20 years ago after being devastated by a harrowing war. Today, Vietnam is the second largest grower of Ruiri coffee and any coffee in the world after Brazil, and are making billions of dollars. They got that from Kenya. So unlock the potential for our country. Next order. Yes, Donya. What is it on the same issue?
Yes. Mr. Speaker, we are talking about coffee. I did a statement on tea bonuses, that is 2 months ago. I somehow pumped into the answers that the ministry had given to the Departmental Committee on Agriculture to give us an answer. If we are promoting coffee, we are promoting tea, Mr. Speaker. We have to be authentic on what we are giving so that we see as members we are promoting the cash crops. But we are talking of coffee. The answers they have given on tea bonuses are fake, are opaque, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Donya. Honorable Donya, the reason that we are not talking about coffee is not to the exclusion of any other crop. You just passed here a bill on sugar. We passed a bill last parliament on tea. And I saw your statement request. So if it is not adequately catered for, I'll direct Dr. Mutunga to respond to you tomorrow afternoon. Next order.
Order number 9, motion. Debate on the President's address, day 4.
Honorable members, before I call the next, allow me to acknowledge the following in the Speaker's gallery. 5 residents of Loyangalani sub-county in Laisamis constituency in the Speaker's gallery. John Pope, Mr. Dea Lentipan, Mr. Chechekuna Bonke, Mr. Marcelino Amatalem, Miss Evana Esekon, HSC, Head of State Commendation. You are welcome to the House of Parliament. On behalf of all of you and myself, on behalf of Honorable Lekuton, on behalf of Honorable Raso, who had requested me to welcome you, I welcome you, and I'll not give them a chance because we don't have the time. So Raso and Lekuton have spoken for you, and your constituents have heard me. Now, honorable members, like I said, the mover will be called upon to reply at 4. Can I see how many members have not spoken and wish to speak? Because the screen has very few members. We have few. Okay, we'll start with, was there anybody on the floor? Honorable Gashagwa, you had a balance of 3 minutes. Proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Before we broke for lunch, Mr. Speaker, I was contributing to this motion and to the address of the nation by the President, and I was almost concluding. Mr. Speaker, I am... Hello, Mr. Speaker, I wish to put across that the President did a great speech by addressing virtually all concerns by Kenyans. And Mr. Speaker, I would like to address the issue of this Adani issue, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, as much as Adani issue was addressed and they were stopped doing business in Kenya, this should not condemn the issue of PPPs. Mr. Speaker, the issue of PPPs is the one that will unlock the deteriorating aspect of infrastructure in this country. Mr. Speaker, I believe that once we encourage the PPP engagement, that's when that our infrastructure will be improved. I have a dam in my area called Pesi. I believe, Mr. Speaker, with its amount, the required budget for that dam is almost 30 billion, 20 to 30 billion. Without PPP arrangement, it will be a tall order for the government to execute it. So as much as one entity was regarded unfit to work in this country, let us encourage this issue of PPPs. Mr. Speaker, I outlaid the indicators that this country is on the right path because of the good address to inflation and the dollar. But I wish, Mr. Speaker, that the way the government is saying that we have improved economically, I wish this aspect will add to the improvement of putting money in the pockets of Kenyans. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Timothy Toroitich.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving an opportunity to contribute on the President's State of the Nation address. Honorable Speaker, I have read the letter, the spirit and the intent of the address. Honorable Speaker, I wish to acknowledge that from the beginning, and in particular paragraph 6 of this address, the President said the following, that to my understanding, the concerns and issues voiced by Kenyans, voiced by millions of Kenyans about the state of our nation deserve meaningful engagement through understanding and thoughtful response. Honorable Speaker, from the beginning and from the preamble of the speech, it was very clear that the President has noted that there are challenges that Kenyans face in this country. Honorable Speaker, it is good that the President has acknowledged that there are certain challenges, and the purpose of this speech was for the President to assure and to reassure the nation that we are on the right trajectory. Honorable Speaker, the President touched on many things, on the issue of agriculture, affordable housing, and corruption. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of corruption, this House has an obligation to assist this President, to assist our President fight impunity and corruption. Honorable Speaker, as a House, we have an obligation. And the only way to fight corruption and impunity in this country is through a strong parliamentary oversight. Honorable Speaker, as a House, if we do not fight and if we don't stand firm and fight impunity and corruption in this country, then we shall be doing a disservice to Kenyans and the President in this country. Honorable Speaker, if you look clearly at the words of the President, these are carefully chosen words by the President. If you look at page 17, of this speech, Honorable Speaker, the President says this, that our national democratic culture expresses itself energetically through robust discourse, boldly speaking truth to power. Honorable Speaker, those are the words of the President. He said very clearly that this House and Kenyans must speak truth to power. Honorable Speaker, outside there is a perception by the members of the public that this House has become a rubber stamp of the executive, that this House has become a praise and worship of the executive. Honorable Speaker, that is the perception of Kenyans out there. And to redeem the image of this House, Honorable Speaker, we must not be a praise and worship as envisaged by the members of the public. Honorable Speaker, when it comes to the question of loyalty and the question of speaking the truth, Honorable Speaker, we should speak the truth at any moment, at any point as a House. Honorable Speaker, on the issue of Adani, Honorable Speaker, I want to thank the President for cancelling the Adani engagement. Honorable Speaker, if you look at the speech of the President, if you read carefully, under page 23, the President says this, that in the face of undisputed evidence of credible information on corruption.
Yes, KJ. Order, Timothy. KJ.
Mr. Speaker, it is not my intention to disrupt my very good friend, the Honorable Troy Teach.
Go ahead, you have already disrupted him.
My question, Mr. Speaker, is whether the member is in order to say that the public envisions for this parliament to be a praise and worship choir. And I'm sure he did not mean that the public envisions this place to be such. And I hope that maybe it is his English that is failing him, because I know he's a lawyer. There is no way he would imagine that the public envisages this parliament to be a praise and worship choir for the executive, Mr. Speaker.
Timothy, is that what you said?
Honorable Speaker, if you listen carefully, I said outside there is a perception by the members of the public that this House is a rubber stamp of the executive. Honorable Speaker, that is a perception that is there in the public. Honorable Speaker, I therefore will not withdraw my words, and I have said that the only way to fight corruption and impunity in this country is through a strong parliamentary oversight. Honorable Speaker, if we lapse, and the only way we can assist our President to fight impunity and corruption is by oversighting the executive. Honorable Speaker, as a senior counsel, Montesquieu, when he talked about separation of powers in this country, he envisaged that there should be a legislature, an executive, and a judiciary. Honorable Speaker, we should play our oversight role without fear or any kind of intimidation, so that we live up to the ideals of our role as members of parliament in this House. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
David Bowen.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, the speech or the message the President read, Mr. Speaker, gave a message of hope to many Kenyans. Mr. Speaker, I want to point out some few issues which His Excellency the President talked about. Number one, Mr. Speaker, the issue of affordable housing. Mr. Speaker, we are looking at, in the next 20 or 30 years, over 70 or 60% of Kenyans will be living in urban areas. And Mr. Speaker, we cannot continue to be a country where majority of our people are living in slum areas. So, Mr. Speaker, the issue of affordable housing, Mr. Speaker, is very important, especially from the President's speech. Mr. Speaker, the President talked about the reforms which is currently happening in the health sector. The transformation of NHIF to SHA and SHIP, Mr. Speaker, is very important. Mr. Speaker, you can imagine, during the time of NHIF, all members of parliament, all of us, all the employed Kenyans, together with ordinary Kenyans, who are paying like 500 shillings, all of us. If you are earning 1 million shillings, those of us who are earning 20,000, those of us who are earning 2,000, we are contributing almost the same, 500 shillings. But now, Mr. Speaker, with the new health system, through the SHA, Mr. Speaker, you will find that us who are earning more, we are able to carry other Kenyans who are earning low, so that they benefit also with the Taifa Care. Mr. Speaker, we have a problem also with our education funding model, which has been there for the last almost 40 or 50 years. The reform which the President actually announced, Mr. Speaker, with the new model, will see that members of parliament who are here, they cannot be paying the same, their children cannot be the same as those ordinary Kenyans. We are coming up with a model where the children from those families who are able, they are able to pay a bit more than those ones who are from the poor. Mr. Speaker, the message from the President, which I want to insist on the issue of corruption. Mr. Speaker, we need to deal with it. And we need to deal with it very firmly and seriously, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of Adani, which the President cancelled during his speech here, it was very embarrassing that there was no a serious background check. And now we know that our airport requires expansion. We need also to increase our electricity connectivity. But Mr. Speaker, as we do so, we need to follow the processes. Let those who are involved to make sure that we don't get again ourselves into the embarrassing positions. So, Mr. Speaker, generally, I want to support the President's speech and say that, Mr. Speaker, as a House, also, we need to play our role and make sure that we check the executive properly. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Anthony Wainaina.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much, Mr. Speaker, for the opportunity for me to put a word on on the voice of the President, what he said. Mr. Speaker, looking at the speech of the President, all the 80 talking points were quite live, valid, and due to this point. Therefore, it may not be possible to hardline all the 80 talking points that the President talked about. However, may I, with your permission, put a few points that I think they are very valid in my constituency and in our country, Kenya. The matter of CBC, this is one area where the government has called much more than our expectation, in that the book ratio is 1-to-1 to the student. Although at the lower classes, the books are starting to wear out and they need maybe urgent replacement. Mr. Speaker, on the matter of broad-based, unlike what we were told yesterday that the broad-based was formed and 4 professionals came. I really want to say that 4 Kenyans came, because Kenya is not short of any professionals. On fertilizer, this is an area that has really helped this country to maintain food security throughout the year. And in this case, I am told, and I have also seen it, that when I visited Busia some time ago, like 3 weeks ago, food was not crossing from Uganda to Kenya, but Kenyan food was crossing also to Uganda. This is as a result of subsidized fertilizer, and it has made food security in this country possible, and even possible for us to export outside our borders. On the matter of reasoning, that our president is a listening president, I would want to say that listening itself is an art in which it is not only learned in class, but it is a matter of character development. And I would want to say that our president listens until you exhaust what you really wanted to tell him. In this case, I want to encourage him to continue being such a wonderful listening president. We have much more to learn from him. On the matter of democratic space, this is a very wonderful area, and that is why we have investors not running away from Kenya, even when there is unnecessary noise in our country about this and that. But because we know it is democracy, and our visitors and our partners know we have a democracy, they have been able to tolerate and observe how we can do with our democratic space. However, on this matter, Mr. Speaker, I would want to say that anybody, although we have a democratic space in our country, those who are exercising the same must also exercise it with a lot of caution and a lot of goodwill to other Kenyans. We can get to a point where we exercise democracy and at the same time we risk the security of our nation. On my last point, that's the job creation in and outside the country. Mr. Speaker, I would wish that this Parliament witnesses, ask to witness all those students, all those workers who have gotten opportunities outside Kenya. It would be such a good gesture if, like our members of Parliament, escort those going to the country, and in that case, it will be a witness to the whole nation and outside our country that it is happening and it has happened. Mr. Speaker, I didn't want to emphasize the need also for Adani. When we say about Adani, and this Parliament...
Your time is up. Elizabeth Kailemia.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to be able to talk on this speech by our President. The President's statement reflects a multifaceted approach addressing corruption, gender-based violence, economic stability through inflation control, educational empowerment via teacher hiring and healthcare accessibility through SHA initiatives. The President has made commitment to address corruption, particularly targeting leaders involved in malpracticing or misappropriating public funds. The focus on corruption is critical as it undermines public trust and diverse resources meant for development. The President's stance indicates a willingness to confront powerful critics and hold them accountable, which is essential for restoring integrity in governance. About femicide, the alarming rise in femicide or the killing of women based on their gender has prompted the President to pledge decisive action against perpetrators. The reference to the 16 days of activism campaign highlights an international effort aimed at raising awareness about gender-based violence and advocating for women's rights. This initiative seeks to mobilize communities and governments to take concrete steps towards preventing violence against women and ensuring justice for victims. The President's commitment suggests an acknowledgement of the severity of this issue and a determination to implement policies that protect women. On inflation, in addressing inflation, the President claims that there has been a decrease in the prices of basic commodities since he took office. This assertion is significant to inflation directly impacting the cost of living and economic stability. A reduction in inflation can indicate effective economic management and policies that support consumer purchasing power. However, it is a crucial analysis to analyze economic data from credible sources to verify these claims, as inflation rates can be influenced by various factors, including supply chain dynamics, government policy changes, and global market trends. On education, I want to applaud the President on the ongoing commitment to hiring teachers, reflects on understanding of the importance of education in national development by emphasizing empowerment through education. The administration aims to enhance teaching quality and accessibility. This initiative could lead to improved education outcomes, which are vital for fostering an acknowledgeable workforce capable of contributing to economic growth. On on health insurance. The social health insurance (SHA) programs offers numerous benefits aimed at providing universal health coverage. By encouraging registration in SHA, individuals gain access to essential health services without facing financial hardship due to medical expenses. The emphasis on universal health care aligns with global health goals aimed at ensuring that all individuals have access to necessary health services without suffering financial difficulty.
Samuel Moroto.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker, for also giving me time to air what I have. I want to sincerely thank the President, him as a person, because I've known him for a long time and we've worked with him. He's a guy who is out to see to it that human beings, especially those Kenyans are here, are benefiting and they're improving in their lifestyle. But, Mr. Speaker, I have a problem with those people who are supposed to assist him to reach those objectives that Kenyans are after, and they're saying to see that they realize the good things from the President. For example, you've mentioned about the coffee in Trans Nzoia. But if you see what is happening now in Trans Nzoia, especially on the land issue, there is a lot of corruption cartels from the Ministry of Land themselves, selling out day and night. And I don't know where they're getting some title deeds given to people. Mr. Speaker, and yet there are officials, those people who are earning the taxes given by the Kenyans, and they're not seeing that. I think we need also to ask the President to deal with these people here. There are many other Kenyans who are sincere and wish to work and help Kenyans in Kenya. Like now, the way you are working, Mr. Speaker, and your team in this parliament. There was a time when members of this parliament, honorable members, were fighting, even from here. But from the time you and your team, you see now everything is just running smoothly. People can stay up to midnight without any problem because of leadership, not any other thing. So, Mr. Speaker, I just want to wish that all the committees, especially the chairs and the leadership of this House, especially those who are closer to the President, let us be bold enough and tell the President he has to get rid of these people here and get the right people who can work. I don't say that all the CSS, all the PSS are weak. There are those who are really working hard, like the team of security. You see now even some of us in the North Rift. There's peace. People work day and night without problems because of those people who are there. Because they go to the people and people assist them. That here is a problem, that corner has a problem, this other place is good, and things move. So the President has to see to it that those who are with him, because he's just talking, like now what we are reading, when the speech I've read from the first page to the last, it's really smart, but the fruits that will come from there, nothing. So, Mr. Speaker, I want to stop there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to contribute to the State of the Nation Address speech by the President, which is a constitutional requirement for him to come back to come and address the nation on issues that affect this country. Mr. Speaker, I would like to say the President for sure addressed many issues of concern to this country and to the people of this country. And many of those issues were based on hope. The fact that we have been having a very difficult time during the last 2 years of his governance and leadership, Mr. Speaker, the President, in addressing the nation, addressed very fundamental issues of concern to our people and our country. And one of the issues that he's raised was the issue of the improvement of our economy, the cost of living, and we witness as a country that there is improvement on the issue of our economy. The fact that the prices of fuel and dollar have come down, the issue of the cost of living in terms of food production, the prices of food and commodities coming down. All indicators, economic indicators, show that this country is heading towards the right direction. And this is as a result of the policies and the foundation the President has laid since he took over office. We all know as leaders and as people of this country that this country was doing very badly when this President took office. And now all indicators are that the country is taking a very good direction. And hopefully by the end of this term of 5 years, we'll have this direction we have taken will go that way, that direction we have taken. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of affordable housing, SHA and SHIF, we all know for the last 20 years, the previous 2 presidents have tried taking this issue head on. It was all in manifestos for the last 20 years for every president who was contesting that they will be implementing affordable housing programs. They will be changing to universal health care program. And they were unable to take on that. They were unable to take a strong position and decision on this. I want to thank the President of the Republic of Kenya, Dr. William Ruto, for taking it head on and showing leadership and being a very strong leader in taking a strong position on these 2 issues. We all know that there was a lot of fight against the implementation of these 2 programs, affordable housing and universal health coverage. Mr. Speaker, as I speak, for the first time we have about 1,100 housing units in my constituency since independence that have been undertaken by the national government. So it has taken off. SHA and SHIF has also taken off. As we report today, there are more than 70,000 people from Garissa County who are registered as members of SHIF and SHA. Mr. Speaker, 7 million more Kenyans have joined this program and we are getting good testimonies from them that the program is working. Had he gone back on to that decision he had made of implementing this program, then this thing will not have taken off. And I hope that this country will not let down the President and the people of Kenya, the very poor people who are benefiting from these 2 programs. Mr. Speaker, there is another issue that President talked about, and that is the issue of corruption in this country. Corruption in this country, Mr. Speaker, is a national threat, a security threat for us. And unless we address it as people of this country, it cannot be handled by the President or the executive or this Parliament. It's a national cancer that we are all aware of, and we must all play our part in ensuring that we fight this thing. The other issue is the issue of judicial extrajudicial killing, abduction, which is a very big problem for us, those of us who are from the northern part of this country. Mr. Speaker, this issue of extrajudicial killing and abduction is very rampant in our region, and I hope the security agencies of this country have heard the position the President has taken on this issue, and there shall be no more abductions and killing of our people. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Ivo Bara. Ivo Bara.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Apologies. I was engaged with my sister here on another matter, but nevertheless, I also want to stand and add my voice to the presidential speech that was on last week, the 21st. Mr. Speaker, let me not repeat what many people have said, but what stuck out for me mainly was the cancellation of the Adani contracts for the airport and the Ketraco. Mr. Speaker, this is a matter that has been going on for a long time, and the displeasure of the Kenyans about this contract. I am happy that he was able to listen to the ground and go back to the drawing board so that at the end of the day, we carry out projects that are in the interest of the people and that the people also have confidence in. Mr. Speaker, secondly, I was happy that he was able to raise the issue of the 2/3 gender rule. Mr. Speaker, this has been going on from the time we got the new constitution, which is no longer new, and I hope that this time he will be the one to deliver this come the next parliament. Mr. Speaker, I believe that we should be deliberate to come out with strategies that are going to make us realize this if all the parties get together and agree on a formula. And I know that we have discussed several formulas with the women leaders in this house and outside this house. And once we put our heads together again on how we will deliver this come 2027, Mr. Speaker, this will be something that our president will be remembered for. Mr. Speaker, I was happy that he was also able to address the issue of gender-based violence. Mr. Speaker, it has become alarming in this country. What has been going on, particularly women, young girls and women being killed out of relationships of people who are supposed to take care of them. Mr. Speaker, as much as we were saying that the men or the boys should be mentored to know how to manage their emotions and how they can take care under those situations, it is also a lesson to our women, Mr. Speaker, to our girls, Mr. Speaker. Shortcuts in life are not there. That all of us must strive to work hard ourselves and avoid situations where we put ourselves in a position what we have seen in the last few years. Mr. Speaker, on matters of corruption, Mr. Speaker, this is a tired story. Mr. Speaker, we must be deliberate as Kenyans and as leaders to lead from the front. And as we always say, action speaks louder than words. We can say it 1,000 times, but if there is no resultant or related action against the corruption, it will continue. Our country has been bleeding, Mr. Speaker, from corruption. And mainly it comes from the procurement. And even as he directed that e-procurement must be enforced by first quarter of 2025, Mr. Speaker, I hope that in the performance contracts that were signed last week by the ministries and state corporation, that this is one of the targets that each agency must achieve by the first quarter of 2025. Mr. Speaker, in order not to repeat what has already been said by my colleagues, once again, thank you very much for giving me the opportunity, and we thank the President for coming out boldly on some of the issues that have been affecting Kenyans. And my desire is that at least we should see that they are all realized. Thank you very much.
Dr. Mutunga, you had not spoken on this? Why are you on the screen? Nabwin. Ekwom Nabwin. Member for Turkana North. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker,
proceed.
for giving me this chance to talk to the speech, the presidential address. Mr. Speaker, sir, one of the things that came out is the president has committed to listening, to be a listening president. Meaning, Kenyans, once they speak, whether positive or negatively, they will expect their president to listen to them. and respond to their issues. So this is positive from the President, and we really appreciate that. Mr. Speaker, by choosing to unite the country, the President has taken a very positive direction, because there is time when part of this country was feeling that they were left behind and they were not being given a chance in terms of development. So uniting the country in the broad-based government is a positive. Mr. Speaker, the President was able to identify and put forward a number of successes that the government have been able to implement. But Mr. Speaker, we are looking at a number of other things that some of our communities are looking forward to from the government, from the executive. The pastoralist community want to utilize their mainstay and make it more economic than traditional. If we look at, from the President's speech, we will see how coffee sector, dairy sector, sugar sector has been supported. We are looking forward in the next financial year that the livestock sector, and especially these areas that are far from Nairobi, the executive should be able to set up similar factories, meat factories, like the KMCs. If we can have a number of sub-KMCs, like in Turkana, where it is said we have the largest number of, say, cows, largest number of shots. What happens this time, Mr. Speaker, is we're transporting our livestock all the way from Turkana, many miles away from Turkana to Nairobi. If in the next years that are coming, maybe the next presidential speech or address, you'll be able to give a positive or something that has been done those sides of the country. Mr. Speaker, the other thing that has come out from the address is one of the things that we feel we needs to be done in this country is the corruption. Corruption is still taking a toll on a number of on many sectors of this country. It seems, and this is a feeling of most Kenyans, the institution that is meant to fight corruption is facilitating corruption, because no action is being seen to be taken by this institution. Kenyans have eyes to see corruption activities or actions that are being undertaken, especially by governments or counties, but nothing is happening. So, Mr. Speaker, we're looking up to this institution for action. Lastly, Mr. Speaker, I want to mention something about the way we are.
Your time is up, Makwiny. Pauline Languris. Order, Pauline, I give you just 1 minute. I said we stop at 4. The majority leader is about to reply.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for giving me this opportunity to contribute on the presidential speech on the state of address of the nation. Mr. Speaker, the speech of the president really tackled on many issues that were raised by Kenyans, especially on the issues that were affecting Kenyans. And this was a very positive speech, because the president mentioned most of the issues that is going to address and settle the problems that are facing our people. One of the most important things that struck me most was the social health insurance scheme. We know that the transition to NHIF, from NHIF to SHA, is one of the most important schemes to our people of Kenya. Mr. Speaker, we know that the scheme is going to cover the people who are employed and those who are not also employed. So our transition from NHIF to SHA will ensure that most of our people will get healthcare services when they require. Mr. Speaker, I want just to mention to the House that this week, I was one of the beneficiaries from the SHA, which was mentioned with a lot of negativity by most of the Kenyans. That I was a beneficiary this week when I had a patient suffering from cancer and was covered entirely for chemotherapy by the SHA insurance scheme. So I want to encourage Kenyans to enroll themselves and benefit from this kind of scheme which has been facilitated by the Kenyan government. Another important issue that the President mentioned in his speech was the education. We are all impressed by the employment of 46,000 teachers, which will settle the issue of our schools, which is currently facing shortage of teachers, especially the CBC program.
Your time is up, Pauline. Roku, what is it? Yes, Roku. You want to contribute? Time out. Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, let me begin by thanking all the members who have contributed to this debate since yesterday morning when it began on the State of the Nation address by His Excellency the President, and more so even those who were very resilient up to 9 p.m. last evening, and many others who came very early today morning to be able to contribute. Honorable Speaker, I don't want to say much in response because members basically have reiterated what His Excellency the President said in his address to the nation. And as we said, and as many members have said in their contributions, the state of the nation, as the President said, is resilient. And that resilience has been exhibited by the emerging growth of our nation's economy, right from a time, Honorable Speaker, when the dollar was trading at 162 shillings. Honorable Speaker, I did hear the Deputy Leader of Minority yesterday asking whether there is indeed an appreciation of the shilling. And I know Robert Mbui is not an economic student. He may not understand many of these things. But when the shilling appreciates from 162 to 129, that is something you cannot deny, Honorable Speaker. And I heard him say that at the time this administration took over the reins of leadership, the dollar was trading at 125. Fact. But it was trading at a rate of 125 in the backdrop of very major economic setbacks. With a devastating drought, you remember at the time, Honorable Speaker, there was no fuel in the country. Kenyans may have forgotten that they had to queue with jerry cans to be able to get fuel. But when the G2G procurement process of fuel came into being, Honorable Speaker, this administration was able to stabilize not just the pricing of fuel and the price of our foreign exchange reserves, our foreign exchange rates, but also to ensure there is availability of fuel. Without naming names, Honorable Speaker, because they are friendly countries, many of our neighbors today, people are still queuing to get fuel. They do not have fuel. But in our country, we have fuel, and fuel whose prices have been coming down almost every other month for the last few months, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, the state of the economy, when it said it's resilient in terms of food security, that again speaks for itself. As I said, Honorable Speaker, in moving, and as the President did enumerate in his address to the nation, we were buying unga at the price of almost 262 shillings in September.
280.
280 for some brands. Actually, there's a brand that was retailing at 287.
Yes.
Today, the same brands are at an average of 120, 110, and I've even seen some brands going for as low as 90 shillings. And if indeed the demonstrations that the Honorable Robert Mbui, my good friend, was involved in then, during the unga and sufuria movement, were about the price of unga, then my good friend Robert Mbui cannot claim that there have not been positive changes. But that is not to mean, Honorable Speaker, that we don't have room for improvement. We still have got a long walk to walk. And all we call upon is focus, and I'm glad that the President and his administration are focused in walking that long journey to bring back our economy to where it ought to be. And I am very confident, Honorable Speaker, that we shall be able to work together. As I said, for us in the legislature, ours is to support the administration that is in power today with legislative interventions that will help them realize and anchor economic policies through legislation that will help them realize the aspirations of the Kenyan people and all the promises that we all made to the Kenyan people. And it does not matter whether you are in the minority or the majority, whether you support William Ruto as a president or not. If you love your country, if you are patriotic enough, Honorable Speaker, you must stand out to be counted in support of those policies that will anchor good legislation that will help us to achieve what we all promised the people of Kenya. And I say that, Honorable Speaker, because aware that we are all from different political parties. There are those that support this administration, there are those that do not. In the minority, like I did hear the Honorable Mbui speak about these issues yesterday. But whether you support this administration or not, Honorable Speaker, you represent people of Kenya. And the people you represent, you made certain promises and pledges to them. And they elected you on the basis of those things that you promised them. Honorable Speaker, I am glad that the President remains focused. Even with all the negativity that has been there, I am glad President William Ruto has shut his eyes and ears to the negativity. And as much as he told us that one of our core responsibilities as leaders is to listen, you listen, but do not get distracted, remain focused on what you want to achieve for the greater good of the people of Kenya and our nation. Honorable Speaker, even for us as legislators, let us remain focused. We were elected because the people in our constituencies believed and they knew that you know better, among us the many other people you competed with. Your time to show the people of Kenya that you know better and they never made a mistake in electing you in your constituency is by making sure you offer leadership. Offering leadership does not always mean you doing what is popular. What is popular, Honorable Speaker, I've said before, may not necessarily be right. When we tend to act out of political expediency and play into the gallery, we may be doing all the wrong things. But when you do what is right, time will vindicate you. And I am confident, Honorable Speaker, time will vindicate this administration, the Kenya Kwanza administration. Time will vindicate the President. That those who talk about Ruto and lies will know there is nothing about lies with President William Ruto. That when he said in Swahili, tutawainua wale walioko mavumbini, wakule meza moja na wafalme, that indeed today, Honorable Speaker, I have listened to Honorable Lenguris saying that she has been a beneficiary of the Taifa Care under the Social Health Insurance Fund. I have seen men and women who are boda riders, mamambogas, also testify and post online how they have benefited, like the Honorable Pauline Lenguris from Taifa Care. If we have a program for medical care, universal health coverage, that is taking care of Honorable Pauline Lenguris, a member of Parliament, the same way it takes care of mamamboga and the boda person, then there cannot be lies about that, Honorable Speaker. Therefore, let me conclude by saying, Honorable Speaker, since I see now we are good. I was taking some time, Honorable Speaker, for the obvious. And I see now we are good. Honorable Speaker, let me conclude by saying, as the President said, as leaders, let us continue listening to our people. Let us reaffirm the resilience of our nation and remain focused to ensure, Honorable Speaker, that we succeed. Because I, as the President said, Honorable Speaker, and I know this has rubbed some people the wrong way. Honorable Speaker, on a light note, when the President said here that failure is not an option, I was elected, Honorable Speaker, and I tweeted and posted and reposted it. And I saw many people online bashing me, asking, how many times are you going to post? And Honorable Speaker, I would repost it again to rub them the wrong way, because I believe truly that failure is not an option, and nobody should ever pray that this nation fails. If we are speaking to our national values, part of those national values is patriotism. And we have been told before that patriotism, or rather praying or hoping that your president or your nation fails, is the height of being unpatriotic. Let us be patriotic Kenyans in line with our national values, and all in one accord say that failure is not an option, and failure cannot and will never be an option for this administration. With that, I beg to reply. Thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Thank you. Honorable members, will now put the question that pursuant to the provision of Standing Order 24-6, the thanks of this House be recorded for the exposition of public policy contained in the address of His Excellency the President delivered in Parliament on Thursday, 21st November 2024, and further that this House notes the following reports submitted by His Excellency the President in fulfillment of the provisions of Article 132(1)(c) and 247 of the Constitution laid on the table of the House on Monday, 25th November 2024. 1. The 11th Annual Report on the measures taken and progress achieved in the realization of national values and principles of governance. 2. The 11th Annual Report on the progress made in fulfilling the international obligations of the Republic of Kenya. And 3. The Annual Report to Parliament on the state of national security. As members of that opinion say aye. Aye. Will those of the contrary opinion say nay? The ayes have it. Next order.
Order number 10, special motion. Appointment of a member of Parliament to the Parliamentary Service Commission.
Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I beg to move that pursuant to the provisions of Article 127(2)(c)(i) of the Constitution, this House